But not some.
Nothing's left, nothing's to lose. This life I had to choose. Dark walls to bear. No one else would like to share. It's a matter of fact that my heart's turned black. Broken road, broken home. No place where I can go. Broken road, broken home. My feelings still go. Broken road, broken home. And I am still alone on my broken road. No one to hold in love. I ask myself, is there a heaven above? I tried to find the truth on the road. What I found shattered my hope. Tell me, how could it be that I'm drowning in the memories of me? Broken road, broken home. My feelings still go. Broken road, broken home. And I
Picking the right combat ship. That sounds interesting. STL. Oh, Mustang Delta. Do like the Delta. Well, I did. I don't know. They changed. Hey Merrick, how you doing, buddy? Just going through what material I got, getting ready. I heard you play Soda, Merrick. Do you want to play some Soda? Nothing from Montoya. Alright, he's back from his vacation, so we got Minion Soldier. Alright. See if we got our blast cast. Yeah. 11 hours ago. Super Mac. Wow. I think we can do all 4 of those. Like 20 minutes. I'm not watching Board Gamer for an hour and a half. $13 ago. Watch this one. This one we're not going to watch. It's too long. Results to the Reclaimer giveaway. Watch this one. Okay. Astro Pub, did he do his lore? Yes, 3 days ago right here. So we got our 5 minutes of lore. Excellent. Yeah, we definitely got a show tonight. Lots of video. Yeah, I'm gonna drop a match of Mech Warrior. Got 19 minutes. I can do it. So I think we're gonna do Mech Warrior afterwards, unless somebody wants to play Soda or something like that. Then we can do that.
But I still try. I'll keep my head up. I will never stop. Show me my mistakes. And face me with my fate. I assume that my life is doomed.
You play on a laptop, Merrick? You live in an apartment or something where you can't have a computer? Because if not, let me pick out your next laptop and I guarantee you it'll play games. It's gonna cost you though. So you have Soda, but you can't play it? Did it get wet? The motherboard and everything got all wet? So it fried it? Dude, I got PC parts around here, dude. We can make you a computer. We won't even use that stick of RAM. We'll just say it fried everything. I'll start going through my parts and putting them in a box. See what we can come up with. Need to get you one of them. What is it? ITX motherboards is the mini one. Instead of ATX, it's ITX. You can get them for like $80.
Reactor online. Sensors online.
Then we'll throw like a $150 i5 on it. Overclock it. Get you like a 1060 or a 1070 graphics card. And you'd be all set. What the fuck am I doing here? I hate these maps, man. They make us run all over the fucking place. Gotta cap these, and I'm in a really slow mech. I'm in like a great big slow mech. I gotta walk around and get shot at.
Target acquired.
Theta is controlled by the enemy.
Got about 5 to 7 in India or Juliet 7.
Artillery strike online. New target acquired.
Enemy forces have Sigma.
New target acquired.
My weapons are only good for like 500 meters.
New target acquired.
Command confirming that we have possession of Kappa.
Like that enemy right now is 900 meters. I gotta get within 500 before I can really shoot him. So I can hit this guy.
Artillery strike online. New target acquired.
We've already gained a quarter of the resources. Keep it up.
Target destroyed. Target
Somebody else finished him off.
target acquired.
The enemy is at 25%.
Artillery strike online. Target destroyed. New target acquired.
Maybe near Theta.
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
They've taken Epsilon. We need to keep holding the resource point.
Target destroyed.
I sure had a pretty good game though. 500 damage is pretty good. Got a kill. Well, my kill to death ratio is a wash. I did alright.
Light up new target acquired. Light % critical damage.
The enemy has capped enough resources. We've failed.
You gotta love robots fighting each other. So I think that's a really good watch. So let me see. This was my team down here. And I did 500, one guy did 800, another guy did 500. So us three carried the whole team pretty much. Everybody else was insignificant, pretty much. Oh, I got a supply cache. So tell me how you can't play Soda on your laptop. You think you could just like craft, dude? I could take you to where some really nice trees are. You can just cut trees and go home and make shit with wood. At least you could be making money in the game. So when you get a computer, you really want to play Soda. I got Divinity too. Started playing Divinity. Divinity's pretty good. It's just like Ultima 7 was. Hey, Akron. Hey, Corpse. Yeah, we're gonna get into the news here. I already looked. There's definitely some news for us. We even got a little bit of lore from Paul to cover. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go top off my coffee and get ready to do the news for you guys. Thank you all for coming. Just give me like 5 minutes and I'll be right back and we'll do this. All right. Here we go. I like the overlay intro. A friend of mine did it. All right. So, into the night we go. This was a title that caught my eye here. Pick the right combat ship for 3.4 4 days ago. 11 minutes. STL Youngblood. Put the video here in case you want to like and subscribe to it. Well, you can try to make me another intro. I'll send you art.
Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and today we're going to do a picking the right ship video, and this time specific to combat ships in 3.4. Now, it is worth noting that I'm only really talking about the flight-ready ships, and ships that you could really just take out the first day you got it, but it's also worth noting that the new flight model that's going to be coming in 3.5 means that some of these may end up changing a bit in the future. Combat teams kind of tends to be a little bit more dynamic than cargo and some of the other careers that are in the game, because combat has more of a dependency on the combat ability and flight models of the ship. So as we start to change that when 3.5 comes around, the recommendations here may change just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the smaller ships and work our way up to the slightly larger ones, kind of like our standard approach with these videos. So starting off with one of the cheaper and smaller ships on the list, it's actually one of the newer options in the game, and that's being the Anvil Arrow. The Arrow isn't the fastest ship around compared to a few of the others, specifically with the afterburner speed, but SCM is pretty admirable on the ship. And while it's not exactly a racer, it does have amazing maneuverability. It handles just like you would want it to. It changes vectors very quickly due to its low mass. And to date, it's one of the hardest fights I've had over Jumptown against a proficient pilot that was in an Arrow. In fact, he was actually so hard to hit
shoot
that we
better
had
footage than that.
on him,
No problem.
and while we were able to land some shots, he ran the ship so well that he was able to stay positioned to avoid taking large amounts of damage. And with the way that it flies, it just doesn't hover in place while it's trying to hang one of those 90-degree vector change type of turns. So it was very hard to get that moment where you have a long time to just get sustained fire on it. Weapon-wise, the Arrow has 3 size 3 hardpoints, which means you can have 3 fixed size 3 weapons, which is a really great choice to maximize
Call this video Arrow in the Dark.
Alternative is opting to toss on some disruption weapons on the top turret to quickly kind of peel back the shields and really yield a lot of damage. Now, in addition to the solid weaponry, you get 4 missile racks, and you can bring 6 size 2 missiles along with the fight, which on a smaller and cheaper fighter is a pretty solid loadout. The Anvil is quickly becoming one of my favorite little fighters, and one that I would definitely recommend checking out. Up next on the list is the Aegis Saber, and is what I would generally consider to be the kind of the gold standard or go-to for.
So he probably just needed to change pads, and then he would get a light source, I would think, from somewhere.
Fighters that are in the game today, and is my personal go-to fighter of choice when I need to pull one out. It's a fast fighter. It carries a decent amount of hydrogen fuel. It handles well in atmosphere and in space. And while it does lack a little bit of the agility of some of the lighter fighters like the Gladius, it's hardly outclassed by the meter. The weapon loadout on the Saber is one of the biggest benefits to this ship because it has 4 size 3 hardpoints. And with the speed it brings along, you end up having a lot of options. For me, I've really enjoyed trying to close the distance and really running a size 3 distortion scatter guns and size 3 ballistic scatter guns to maximize damage and really kind of throw flux into the power plant, and then using the actual ballistics to deal a lot of damage. But running 4 size 3 tarantulas does a lot of damage too, and if you prefer the repeaters, the Panthers are really hard to argue with. You also come stock with 4 size 3 missiles, and while you really don't have a lot of them, the size 3 missiles are extremely powerful if you can get them to land. Now, you do want to make sure you're using them wisely and stripping down shields first and firing from closer range, but they do pack a punch when they hit. The Saber also has 2 shields instead of 1, so you get a little bit of redundancy there, and depending on your power allocation, they do come back pretty quickly. The other thing to consider is that the armor isn't really implemented as a statistic on ships yet, and my gut says that where other ships are probably a little bit softer than they should be, I think the Saber might also be a little bit more tanky than it should be, at least in comparison to other ships. But either way, it's a really resilient fighter that wears damage pretty well. There are 2 primary ways that you can run the Saber, either with the stock stealth loadout to minimize your signature, or the preferred method of running military hardware, which is my preferred method, and maximizing the power output and just saying, you know what, I don't really care about the stealth ability here. I want to keep my weapons firing and my shields up. Either way, the Saber is fierce and has to be on this list. Now, I'm a man who's going to admit when he's wrong, or at least has undersold a ship, and to prove it, I'm going to do that right now. The Reliant Kore, I'm just kidding. The Kore is still a garbage ship, but I did undersell the Freelancer Miss, and it's one that I thought was kind of going to be a one-trick pony or a little expensive for what it would do, or kind of just limited based on how missiles perform. But I was really wrong. The base Freelancer as itself is a capable ship.
Akrid left the group
because it has 3 size 3 hardpoints on the sides that are on unmanned turrets. Plus, you have 2 weapons on the top turret to help, though I really dislike the turret placement on the hump in the back, preventing forward firing.
You guys didn't invite me to a group.
That being said, though, the Miss is a ship that really takes it to the next level, using a medium power plant with 2 medium shields and having a larger health pool. It's just a really tanky ship. Weaponry-wise, it's really impressive. You end up getting 4 size 3 Mantis Gatlings on the side, and you get 2 size 2 Hellion scatterguns on the turret. Now, that does mean that you need to kind of utilize like a medium to closer range, which isn't really ideal on this ship. So you may be better off leveraging longer range Omni-Sky laser cannons. But many fighters are going to try and close the distance anyways, and the Gatlings are really fierce at close range, and scatterguns are obviously pretty good at that too. Now, where the real brunt of the punishment with this ship comes from, though, is it carries 28 size 3 missiles. Basically, you get 20 in the missile reloaders, 8 on the wings, meaning that the damage you deal through missiles can be absurdly high. And you can also stay in a dangerous area for an extended period of time based on the pure number of missiles you have. Now, it's a ship that when working with fighters as a part of a team really allows you to really kind of excel. And you can kind of lock down an entire area and chase a lot of people off or finish them off. I actually like the way the Freelancers fly, and though there's plenty of complaints out there about the visibility from the cockpit, the HUD does allow it for easy tracking and allow you to keep dealing damage to your targets. The Freelancer flies well, but it's not a super quick ship either when you talk about changing direction based on the mass, but if you're cautious in your approach, it becomes a minimal issue. Long story short, the Miss is a mean machine. Now, while the Saber is easily my favorite or the go-to on this list, a very close second is going to be the Vanguard. It's long range with lots of quantum fuel. It makes jumping between planets a few times very easy, basically allowing you to stay out and do hunting for longer periods of time. Additionally, you bring a ton of firepower along because you have a size 5 hardpoint on the nose, which comes standard with a gimbaled Revenant ballistic Gatling gun. But I almost always swap that out for a size 5 laser cannon of some sort, like the M7A, which has very long range, does a lot of damage, and has pips that really closely line up with the quad cannons on the nose, which is going to be 4 size 2 MVSA laser cannons, and are some of the highest DPS weapons in that size range, which means you have a ton of forward-facing firepower. And when you add to that the 2 size 2 sawbucks on the turret, you're throwing a lot more damage down the field than a lot of other ships. And really, without the line of fire issues that the Freelancers have, it makes it a really kind of tough, I guess, combat machine. Now, this is an important factor because the Vanguard is large enough that, smaller fighters can end up being a little bit of a problem. Though if you're able to really kind of have enough control to try and keep your targets in front, it doesn't make them too bad, especially when you try and break off the circle strafe fights or with somebody actually chasing you, utilizing reverse strafe to kind of separate yourself from the engagement a little bit. But having the turret manned certainly helps if you can keep their line of fire on target. Now, in addition to the large and powerful weaponry, you also have 4 size 3 missiles and 8 size 2 missiles, meaning you can bring a significant missile output along or swap the size 2 for more size 3 missiles to maximize your output. Smaller fighters typically are going to be faster and more maneuverable, but the larger components and health pool mean that the durability of the Vanguard is extremely high, and you have a lot of flexibility in engaging fighters, mid-sized ships, or even dealing damage to larger ships like Constellations and Hammerheads, where smaller fighters wouldn't be able to make the same dent. It really is one of the more well-rounded options in the game right now from the combat perspective, and one that I love to fly. Now, the final ship I wanted to recommend as part of this takes on a slightly different methodology, being
I like the Vanguard.
Retaliator bomber.
Vanguard's
Tally
a good
brings
ship.
6 size 9 torpedoes along, which have excellent range and deal a ton of damage. With larger ships like the Constellations, Hammerheads, Starfarers, and more that are coming into the game, having the ability to lob large damage torpedoes at a target is a huge perk. And while the Retaliator doesn't really have much in the way of pilot-controlled guns until we end up getting the AI blades that are going to let you kind of automate some of that, it recently did get a buff to its turret weapons. Now, the Tally's always had 5 turrets dotting the outside of the ship, providing excellent coverage, but prior to the recent update, it only had 2 size 1 weapons on every one of those hardpoints, which was hardly an effective loadout. Now, 3 of the turrets have 2 size 3 broadsword ballistic cannons, and the other 2 have 2 size 2 Scorpion Gatling guns, which is a much more impressive loadout and almost makes this like a little miniature Hammerhead type of ship, meaning that you can do a great job of alpha strike ability using your torpedoes and protecting your ship, plus in other areas, and you end up having the gunners that can actually now be effective against other ships. It's a fun ship to fly and is now a fun ship to multi-crew while actually providing some good results. Now, the last thing I wanted to add to this, since not all of these ships are available for sale right now, is that there's several others that are not on the list but are great options too. The Gladius is fast, has good weaponry, and it's a hard-to-hit ship, plus it's just one of my favorite design ships in the game. The Avenger has a lot of flexibility in roles, but if you need a combat ship that can do other tasks as well, it's a very proficient flyer and is very low-priced. And finally, the Constellation Andromeda sort of matches that idea with the ability to do cargo, multi-crew, carry a rover, and it has a lot of missiles, plus some larger pilot-controlled weaponry, plus turrets to allow for greater damage, even though it's easy for fighters to kind of stay out of the line of fire unless the turrets are manned. Long story short, there's a lot of options out there that allow for combat to take place.
That's funny.
Some are available now, or at limited times only, but there are some that I feel better about at different times. So if you guys have ships that you want to add to the list, please go ahead and put them in the comments. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for more, and have yourselves a wonderful day. Take care.
Okay, that was STL. All right. This is the Delta.
Ladies and
the Mustang
gentlemen,
Delta.
Tactical Advance here, and welcome to a ship review. Now today, we're going to be taking a look around the Mustang Delta. If you're unfamiliar with the other Mustang series, I've made videos on all of them so far, so you can go and have a look in the video feed on my channel. And today, it's all about the Mustang Delta.
Links
I've
in
actually
chat.
made this video once already, and I've come back to make it again. I realised after I completed the video.
Well, I'm interested because this is the new the body style, so it's not even the same ship that he did before. So I don't even know what he's talking about. But yeah, kind of looks like more of an insect than a Mustang. Man, it looks like to me like an insect with a stinger.
And I spent a bit of time with the ship that I'm
The Delta Mosquito. That's the Delta Mosquito. What I think that is.
going to say, from my opinion, this is the best starter fighter in-game as it stands today. It just flies so well. Overall, it's just an absolutely fantastic ship. And I remember when I first flew the Delta, I'm talking a long time ago when it first came out, and it originally had the dumbfires, which they're calling rockets now.
I don't like the new
It was overpowered
Mustang.
when it first
I don't
started.
like it. I like the old
one. And they did
one.
nerf it down. But as it stands today, this thing's awesome. Absolutely awesome. And we're going to take a good look round and
It's a
then
Mosquito.
jump in the pilot seat and we'll have a look on the exterior as well. Okay, well, starting off. I'll leave a link to the PDF so you can see the weapon loadout as well in the description. But today we're taking a review on the outside, have a good look around it, do a bit of flight as well. Now one big advantage this ship has over, I would say, the other starter ships and also the other Mustang series is this special armour that it has. Although we don't have full armour in game as of yet, once we do, let's just say this makes the ship more efficient by what, 5, 10, 15, 20%? It just puts it leagues ahead against the other ships. So this is what it is. It's these sort of patch quilt sort of thing. You can see it's placed all around here. It's on the vents as well. My favourite colour scheme so far in Star Citizen is definitely this military green as well. I like the fact that they've used different types of green as well to give it the depth. It looks quite evil as well. If you have a look from the front, I think it looks quite aggressive. Once the wings are down, particularly because of the colours. Absolutely. Now, one thing I did notice with this is the armour goes way further than you think. You can see these patches here, but look, if you see, it runs around the intakes as well. It's on the top and the bottom wings, and from what I can see, it does actually look like it runs underneath the checker plating. As you can see it here, and you can see, look, it's woven underneath the actual plates.
Likes doing his ship reviews in the dark. Oh no, that was the other guy. They both do. The midnight ship reviews.
I would like to see some more ships with this sort of armour on as well. The original ship had exactly the same thing. The armour wasn't necessarily in the same places, but it had this sort of like SIM card look of it. I'll see if I can find a link there to my old video so you can see the before and after. This is a huge improvement from the last one. I can't imagine anyone out there complaining about their Mustang Delta right now. You should be over the moon with this thing. This is absolutely awesome. The loadout's pretty decent as well. Let's take a look inside. So here we are. Now comparing this to other starter ship fighters now, just starting with the view, I mean, it just outbeats all the other starter ships already. I mean, even the downwards view is really good. A lot of the ships have, you know, really great upper view, but they have like a side piece here. This is really good. Same displays as all the other ships. No different there. All the buttons and everything are in the same place.
I guess I like the cockpit view. It's the way a
Fire
fighter
up.
should be for a cockpit.
Launch complete.
Let's take a look at
I
that
love
exterior.
that cockpit view, actually.
Now what you will notice is a lot of that armour plating, it's not really armour plating material, is on the exterior as well. We'll have a look at that now. I think this ship looks absolutely awesome. I mean, I can't even critique it. I think I look at it and I think, what an awesome looking ship. The other big advantage of this ship over some of the other starter ships as well is atmospheric flight on this thing is going to be awesome, isn't it? This is going to handle really, really well in atmosphere. Unlike the Aurora. We do know that the Aurora is supposed to be one of the worst handling ships in atmosphere, i.e. Star Citizen did tell us that. It sort of makes sense. It's a floating coffin at the end of the day, isn't it? Obviously out of atmosphere it will perform maybe similar or on par. But like I said, from the front, it looks quite aggressive as well. And from underneath as well, you can see that checker plating as well. Away from the sun a little bit. Maybe zoom in. You can see all that sort of patching underneath the wings there on either side. Like I said, it does give you the impression that the patch quilting stuff runs underneath everything. It's not just the wings. You can see bits of it on the tips there as well. all around the side here. I really like that textured look to a ship, actually. It's the first one I've really seen it on like this, to this sort of quality anyway. I think it really breaks up the ship and makes it look pretty cool. The only other one that's got something similar like this is probably the Avenger. Looks fantastic, doesn't it? So, let's jump inside.
Gator skin.
Let's go a little bit higher, and I'll show you some of the weapons it's got as well. Now, the main weapons are pretty decent. Nothing to write home about, the size 2s. You do get quite a few of them, and the fire rate's pretty decent. I'll show you one of these rockets. We'll move underneath a little bit for the old rockets. It actually nudged the ship, have you noticed that? Look, when I fire, look. I don't know if it's supposed to do that. The only downside with them rockets are range. They're not long range, and they're unguided, obviously. So you've got to be pretty accurate with them, and you don't really get many of them. So that's the downside. Well, I suppose you could compare something like an Aurora, where it's got rockets, missiles, sorry, where you can actually lock on with this. Not really going to go much further than that. Obviously, if you shoot towards the floor. Can't quite see the explosion, but it should go that far. They haven't got massive range on them, but once again, I would say use them when you're in sort of a dogfighting mode, like close. Using your guns and they're strafing past. Just quickly fire and then see if you can get a hit in. So overall, what do I think about this ship? Like I said at the start, I'm going to stand by it. This is one of the, or if anything, the best starter ship fire in the game. It just offers everything. A decent firepower, great view, decent weapons, aerodynamic, great handling in out of atmosphere and in atmosphere. Sort of feels slightly unfair for the other ships, if I have to be honest. Because overall, it's a strong ship. And now, if you just add on top of that, the armor ability of this ship as well. Although we don't really know what that's going to mean. Is that armor going to mean that it's got 5% more, 10% more? We have no idea. If it adds any percentage more, it just seems like a much better ship to go for as a little starter fighter. Obviously, there's a progression tree there as well. You can move up to your Gladius, your Hornets if you want to later on. Or you might just want something to dart around with and have a bit of fun as well. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Overall, I think this is a fantastic ship, and I'm struggling to find fault in it. Let me know if you can see any faults in the ship that maybe you don't like. And also, the last thing on the agenda today, if you're looking to join a Star Citizen organisation, check out the link in the description below. That's it for me. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye now.
Yeah, I already linked that one. So, we get our dose of Midget Soldier. Now, he moved to a new apartment, so I have no idea what he's going to sound like or whatever. But he moved. He said he was moving, so he's in his new place now. This is PSU Maniacs. Whatever the hell that means. Is that a horse? Leaving like duck tracks or something? Some Photoshop crap. I don't know, it's all blurry. No, I'm playing it at 1080p. I don't know what their problem is. Oh, it's some naked man with some half-naked lady on the back of a horse. That Bo Derek? No, it ain't. This ain't the Blue Lagoon. Planet of the Apes, yeah. It's Planet of the Apes, too. This is 1970s. Can't you tell by the blurriness of the video? The video quality is like horrible. This is when he realizes that they nuked themselves. I believe it's the Statue of Liberty, like all falling into the ground right there in front of him.
And we're back. 4,490.
No, we should find out what's legal for movie nights on Twitch because I got quite the movie collection. I'll show you guys. We could watch porn for hours. Just us. Got like everything that you could possibly want, dude. Not installing anything right now. But yeah, I'll just scroll nice and slow. Oh, you're not even seeing the whole thing because I gotta. There we go. Now I'll start scrolling it down. I swear to God, dude, I got a lot of movies. We gotta find out like what's legal and what's not legal because we could definitely chill and watch some movies, dude. I got a lot of movies that I've been wanting to watch. I've been doing like the Marvel series. I don't know if they control it or can I just like play any movie I want? I mean, how does that work with like copyrights and stuff? But yeah, I got a lot of movies that we could watch, dude. We could like. We could definitely hang out. We could play games and have the movie going in the corner. We can play like Divinity because that's turn-based, and I can watch the movie and play Divinity at the same time. But yeah, I got a crap ton of movies. Then I got old TV series too. Like you older guys, dude. Like I think Merrick, he's my age. We could sit down and watch. Remember this? Three's Company. We could watch like Jack Tripper and them. When Chrissy Snow. You can get all into it. All right, back to the news. Minion Soldier.
91 kilometers later, we're back. So, salvage. Whoops. Not really a surprise, though. I mean, we've talked about this before.
I didn't read the terms of service.
Something that was likely to happen. I felt that it was probably going to be something that delayed into 3.6, but it is now hopped completely.
You guys find out, and we could watch movies.
And the truth is,
I got a bunch of movies.
I don't think that this was, a pre-planned decision. This was something that came up fairly quickly, and they went, oh, yikes. This is going to be one of those situations again where we said something, and then all of a sudden, we changed course. We saw this with the Cutlass Blue and the Cutlass Red. I mean, they were showing us screenshots of these ships as a work in progress, and then the next week, boom, it was off the schedule, and they were working on the Conning Phoenix. And I feel that this was the same thing, because if you remember, a few weeks before Christmas, they were telling us, like, oh, the Vulture might actually, jump ahead in the line to mate up with Salvage once Salvage is completed. And we speculated on that. We discussed that. And now, all of a sudden, Salvage is completely off the board. And, yeah, no indication of when we may see it. So, is it the end of the world? It sucks. It's definitely something that sucks. And, obviously, someone like me is going to feel this loss a lot more keenly than someone who doesn't own a Reclaimer or a Vulture. But it is definitely a kick in the nuts. Is it the end of the world? No. I mean, we've been through this before. I mean, there are plenty of people out there who have been waiting on things like this, like the Banu Merchantman, like different game mechanics. I mean, certainly Herald owners know exactly what I'm going through. Well, I own both, so it's been particularly not fun. But, having these ships in game and just being dead is not a great feeling. And it feels like a bit of a misstep. I mean, I think that originally CIG totally intended to have Salvage come online a lot sooner. I mean, you remember when the Reclaimer was coming out, when the Reclaimer was becoming flight ready, they were hyping it up, they were showing us videos, and then it just fell off a cliff and it became like this dead ship, and for a while it was badly broken in the game. They patched a lot of it back up. It seems to be a workable, flyable ship, though the guns seem to aim off in every direction. There was a brief period where we had control over all the guns on the ship, and that was pretty awesome, but unfortunately, that seems to have disappeared. And so, there was a lot of people out there who were looking forward to having the Reclaimer, and now, it just doesn't work. Having Salvage with the Reclaimer, rather. And now, it's not even on the schedule anymore. So that is a huge blow. That really sucks. Why did it happen? Well, you see a lot of the things that have appeared on the schedule in lieu of Salvage. Feel that maybe they're looking at repair and they're saying, you know what, we can branch Salvage off of repair. So that's probably the angle that they're probably going to try to attack this thing from. I would like to see a date. Obviously, we all would, but I guess that's tentative now. The odd thing about repair that struck me when I was looking at it, the thing that obviously, as someone who owns a Salvage ship, you could say, I have some skin in this game, but the thing about repair that really struck me as being kind of an odd choice was the fact that there are no repair ships in the game. This was what I kind of hit up with. I was like, Crucible, not here. They keep showing pictures of the Vulcan, but unless the Vulcan's secretly in production and they haven't told us, then how are they going to get repair? I mean, obviously, rearm and refuel are in there as well, but they don't have the ship for that. Well, they do have the refuel ship in the Starfarer, which is yet another dead ship. So the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what, this is probably repair with the little multi-tool that we have. Certainly we saw a little bit of that in Vertical Slice, where you're kind of cutting out the battery component of that forklift and then putting it into that control panel to activate the elevator or the door. So chances are that is, that sort of system, formalizing that system and making it not so much something that they kind of faked for the video, but something that actually works in the game. That's probably where those resources are going. And at the same time, when you think back to that footage, obviously Salvage can branch off of that, right? Like removing components, salvaging components off of ships in much the same way you take the power core off the forklift and then just stashing it in your cargo hold rather than plugging it into something else. So it's possible that salvage could indeed be an offshoot of repair. So once they do get to work on salvage, they might have at least part of the work already completed. That's a possibility. So, am I mad about it? Not really. The game isn't a game yet, right? And so there's some stuff that I can do in the game. Certainly, I don't have access to a mining ship, so that's not something that's available to me. But the game really isn't a functional fluid universe where things count and things are stable and all that. So not having it right this moment isn't something that is entirely a deal breaker for me. And certainly, IRL, I'm not really in a position where even if it was in game, I could just sit down and just grind away at it. I'm just not in that place right now. Hopefully soon, but so I have to be honest, as a Reclaimer owner, I'm not all that disappointed in it. The only thing that really kind of strikes me as looking bad, I won't say bad in fact, but looking bad, is the fact that, right before Christmas, once again, we were talking about the Vulture, and, CIG was hinting that the Vulture might skip ahead. Salvage, get that ship in to go with salvage, and then all of a sudden salvage completely drops off the schedule. And, from an outward appearance, from the outside looking in, that would look like something that's tremendously unprofessional. But the truth is we've never had the lens into game development, or the kind of like the periscope to peek into game development that we've had with CIG. So this is probably something that honestly is the norm within game development. All of a sudden it's just like, oh shit, we got to get that repair thing done. And what we can do is we can branch salvage off of repair possibly, or something like that. That could be the internal conversation. They're sitting there going, oh man, we need to get this thing done because it's part of Squadron 42. I don't know, you crash your fighter on a planet and you have to go around and retrieve a few components to get your ship, back up and running and get back to your, your mothership. Maybe that's what's happening. And they're just like, oh, you know what? And we'll use that as the foundation possibly for salvage. I mean, you can see how the two are related, so that's a possibility. But yeah, I mean, it does look like it's something that's a little bit unprofessional. But once again, that is from the outside looking in and not really fully maybe understanding the situation and what's going on. It could be something that's completely normal in game development and just something that we don't get to see all that often. Now, I understand, if salvage has to take a backseat to something else for whatever reason, I get it. I'm willing to accept that. Such is the nature of game development, some might say. I'm willing to accept that. One thing, if I could offer a piece of advice, if anyone from CIG is watching this video, I've realized, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, salvage needs to be bumped up. Salvage is important. I mean, obviously I'm biased.
Salvage is very important.
But what I will say is this: mission reward sharing. For the love of God, please, 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 please implement this in the game. We got these big multi-crew ships. We want to get people used to the idea of working together, working as a team, sharing rewards and things like that. I see that there's service beacon improvements in 3.6. Please, you've also got some group improvements coming up in 3.5, I believe, some grouping improvements. Make this part of that. Mission reward sharing. Formalize the relationship between players and, that basic system of economic exchange, or at least teamwork for economic gains. Get that in place. Please get that in game, because that would really help, set a foundation for teamwork that you really want in a game like this. You don't really want a whole bunch of people flying around solo all the time. You want to encourage teamwork, and having that system formalized and in place sooner rather than later is a good thing. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, I agree with what he's saying, Tristan. I'll link this. I looked at Rabbit. I'm not sure. I mean, that's not going to help us stream movies on Twitch. It doesn't give you permission to. I mean, it just gives us a room to do it in outside of Twitch. All right. So the next video, we're going to go into the Blastcast by Citizen Gamer. I'm going to link that one right now too, so I don't forget. I could cram the movie in the corner, and we can just keep it a secret that we're not really watching the movie. You guys are watching me play the game. I can play the movie in just the right speaker, and the game in the left speaker, and you guys will mute the one speaker so you just hear the movie and not the game sound. It'll all be encoded. And then we could even we could do like porn, and we'll put like an overlay in front of it that if you wear special glasses, you can see through the overlay. I think we can do it. I think I got the technology. We could be watching like Spider-Man right now or something. This is the Blastcast from Citizen Gamer. The link is the last one I just put in there for you.
Greetings and welcome to the Blastcast. I am Jarus, and with me as always is the man who I exploded, Lightning Dragon.
And then it exploded.
More on that in one extra cast to come in the future. This week on Around the Verse, CIG discussed
needs
their
to turn
throttle
Lightning's
changes to the upcoming
mic
flight
up.
system. Now it appears that what they're doing is they're going to be two
Like he's
potential
loud
settings.
and his partner's
One is
soft.
a 50-50 throttle, at least that's what I call it. It's where the center is 0, and you push forward to accelerate, and you pull back past that middle point to activate the retro thrusters and go backwards or to stop. Now this kind of throttle is one that many pilots, real world or sim enthusiasts may not use on a regular basis, since it's kind of counterintuitive to what we're used to. The other one that they offer as an optional setting is where you have it pushed all the way forward, you press a button, and what it does is it reverses the engine flow and you have to pull back, and as you pull back from the forward position, it will accelerate the retro thrusters to 100% as you pull back. Now to me this seems pretty intuitive. I'm probably going to be using this one. Elite Dangerous had one like this, but I remember when I was using it that when the throttle was pushed all the way forward and you flipped it, that the throttle would be set to reverse at 100%. It was one of those situations where you kind of had to quickly adjust. A suggestion by Hano in our Discord I thought was really great. What he suggested is that you hold down the reversal button and you're able to get your throttle into the position that you want, and when you release, you'll go ahead and kick on the afterburner. In the meantime, when you have the button pressed down, you're not accelerating, there's no change, it kind of locks the position. So you press the button, it locks, you move the throttle to a new position, and when you release it, it reverses the direction. I think that's a good idea because it would keep the throttle from having those weird moments where you flip it over and you're getting an extremely powerful or an extremely weak experience, and you get it set basically where you want it by the time you release it.
when Elite Dangerous first came out, because we're going to talk about that for a bit since we're mentioning controls, it did have some preset controls for X52 and I think one other thing that we had used. It pretty much got you off the ground right away, but I had a problem of mostly just where the buttons were configured to, like what certain buttons did. I mean, I spent maybe, 20 minutes at least going through it, and every now and then after playing, I go, you know what, this button would be a whole lot better to do this kind of action. If it's going to be a lot like Elite Dangerous in how the throttle control works, as long as there's some good button mapping, I don't think this is really going to be a problem, because you'll be able to customize it to whatever you're most comfortable with.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about Elite Dangerous that I'm not really a big fan of, especially the Engineers expansion, but the thing is that they nailed controls, and everything seems to feel like really smooth, and I'm hoping we can get that same kind of level of connectivity to our ships that we currently don't have. And while I don't expect it to fly the same as Star Citizen, in fact I would hope not, the thing is that they did controls right from day one. I don't think anyone who's played the game can argue otherwise. You may argue that the ships don't fly the way you like, and I would totally get that, but the controls, they nailed it. CIG also announced that Space Break is back in. Now, some people are concerned about this. I'm going to remain neutral on this for now. It's one of those things that I'm going to have to feel to see exactly how it is. Now, the reason it could be good is that people are using that 50-50 throttle. Finding that center point 0 can be kind of difficult. Being able to depress a space brake would allow you the time you need to find that exact 0. It can be good in that regards. In no way should that space brake exceed the thrust values of your ship in any way whatsoever.
If it's just a button to disable your throttle controls and set your retros to just equal 0, I don't have any problem with it. In fact, I'd probably want something like that. How many times are you like accelerating and then you realize, oh, wrong way, and you have to either reach over and grab your throttle if you're using a HOTAS or something, or you can just tap the space bar or whatever button it's going to be. Maybe you have a button on your HOTAS, and then you can just turn, stop, and then readjust as necessary.
Well, also because a lot of times people, like when you watch sci-fi shows, for example, let's use Star Trek for example. I know these ships are a lot smaller, but most ships are going to have a all stop. You're just going to stop all motion. You're not going to go forward, backwards, up or down. And arresting all motion can be important if you're going to be getting out of your ship, for example, and you want to pick something up in space and salvage it. You don't want your kind of, oh, I didn't realize my ship was drifting, and you're in there for 20, 30 minutes, and you look out, your ship's like 20 kilometers away. You're like, oh, man. So it's good to have those kind of things where you can just tell the ship that, you want it to stop all relative motion and just hang out. It could be used in a very positive way. And I said, as long as it works within the confines of the ship's normal power settings, I think it can work. But we'll have to see how it goes. And it's one of those things, once again, I'm going to have to get my hands on before I can make any judgments on it. Now, there was a bit of controversy on the next one because they talked about how they were making decouple a button press, like a press and hold. And of course, the forums there were some categories that popped up where concerns were brought up about this. And even in my own Discord, there was a post later on today by A. Nicholson, and I'll put it up here. There's going to be an option in the options setting where you can make it actually a toggle instead of a hold. So you can still fly decoupled, so that's still in. Now, I like to make an alternate suggestion. You can fit 2 functions on the same button. For example, the hold, of course, would be the one where you're decoupling until you release, or you could have a quick tap or a quick double tap, and it will go ahead and just switch it to the full decoupled mode. This way you can map 2 functions to the same button without having to go into an options setting to go ahead and just set it in there.
Or if you're using keyboard, you can have like a Alt plus button or something.
Yeah, and the reason for this is that sometimes there's a reason you just want a quick decouple and a quick release and whatnot, and sometimes you want to keep it on for a much longer period of time. And I think it would depend on the circumstance. Keeping everything on the same button, I think, would be easier for everybody. Otherwise, you'd probably have to map 2 buttons so you can get both functions.
Which, I mean, would be fine if you wanted to play that way, but I mean, the idea of having it where you click and hold it and it just detects that you haven't, let go of the button, so it just leaves it on. I actually didn't think of that. I was just thinking more of in the options menu, you either have it as hold or toggle.
Yeah, that's the way they're talking about it here. But I think having the option where the button itself has 2 functions would be much more intuitive, maybe, or at least give you more options on the fly.
More options is always good.
CIG also showed off more of their ArcCorp moons that will be coming out in 3.5. These are looking extremely impressive, and I really look forward to cruising around on them, or at least taking a ground vehicle down until I manage to flip it over and
explode.
The more that I see them develop their planets, it's like every time they come out with another planet, it's like they ramp it up a notch. They keep stepping it up, and the development time on these, the turnaround is getting faster and faster, and the quality is getting higher and higher. It makes me think.
I thought about this with spending, money for sticks, and I don't know. My other solution to sticks is probably worse, because I wanted a way to play Star Citizen without having to be in my cockpit. So I thought, what would be the best way to where I could take my laptop with me on vacation and still get into Star Citizen and play? So I figured, okay, an Xbox 360 controller with a keypad on it. And when I first thought about it, I was figuring, okay, that's going to be like $80, like $20 for the keyboard and $60 for the Xbox One controller. And then I started looking on Amazon, and then I found out that there was this thing called an Xbox One Elite controller. And it's made out of stainless steel. It's got more buttons on it. And I was like, oh, damn, they want $150 for it. So I bought for $150, bought the keyboard that plugs into it. And I want to set it up for X4. And I'm going to try to do X4 with it to see if I'd be able to play Star Citizen with it. So I'm still tinkering with it. But yeah. So if you got the regular Xbox One controller and a keyboard, you could probably play Star Citizen that way for $80.
Think back to when they talked about the reason they don't have roads on the old planets and things is because the tech keeps getting updated. They go back and revamp the old planets a bit, so it makes perfect sense because, well, frankly, by the time they get ready to release the game, the old planets may look passé compared to the new ones, so they're probably going to want to rework those a little bit.
I wouldn't mind the idea of some of the planets being more like just scattered cities and like little outposts where like more busy planets actually have roads and things, because I like the idea of them just being like, hey, this planet's useful, but most of the stuff we want is like right here. Or I forget which moon it is. It's one of the moons that's already been mined almost completely out and all the life is dead already. Like, it makes sense that that planet's basically all, like used up at that point. So why would there be roads everywhere?
Well, there could be roads there from when it was active, and they could be worn out and worn down because they're not maintained anymore.
Yeah, that'd be nice, actually.
A little bit of looks a little bit like Fallout or something.
Or Mad Maxy.
There you go.
Call it the Mad Max Moon.
And this week, CIG is going to be ramping up their shows again, so we are going to be getting a Reverse Diverse. I'm not sure if we're going to be getting anything else next week, but I guess we'll find out. Well, I hope you're enjoying our conversations and random chaos in the ExtraCast blasts. And I put out an Empyrean video that I'm really happy about. We talk a little bit about some gaming news, and, well, I really like the ending I came up with. And, if you haven't watched it yet, feel free to check it out. All right, everyone. Well, still not much news on the CIG front, so that's about everything for this week's Blastcast. Leave your comments and suggestions down below, and we will see you on the next one.
And Charis will read every single comment. I guarantee it.
Yeah, it's pretty true.
Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. That was the Blastcast for the week. This is what I found when I was like searching for stuff. Try to line this up. All right. Yeah, so this is the Xbox One Elite controller. It's got these extra buttons down here, these paddles. And it's all metal, dude. The whole thing's made out of metal. And it's all magnet, and these things pop off. They just pull off, and you can change them into different things. It's like create your own whatever, and it's all magnet, and it just sticks on with the magnet and pulls off. Same thing with these. You can add them and remove them. So I got this thing right here. And it's got software where you can map all the buttons to whatever the hell you want. So if you want like your landing gear to be here, whatever. But I took it a step farther. And then I added this thing right here that attaches to the whatchamacallit, the stick. So that right there clips in like this. Uh-oh. Alright. So the keyboard clips in like this, so I can fly the ship like dual stick style. Then you got like up, down, left, right, strafe here. And then you just use your buttons like you would normally, like, you know, whatever you want to do. It's pretty cool. That's how I'm planning on playing Star Citizen on the road. Alright, up next in the video world would be Super Mac Brothers. New weapons, flight model. Heard enough about the roadmap. We'll do these two right here. They're perfect for your thumb, I swear to God, and I got big
Star
hands.
Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all the news from Star Citizen from the week just past. I am your host, Mac, so let's get on with it. This week, we see how ArcCore and its moons are coming along. We get a little insight into how the new flight model throttle is going to work, plus the latest on the 3.5 progress. So before we begin, just a quick 3.5 roadmap update. This week they have added quite a few new tasks to many areas of 3.5. There is still 2 months to go and progress is looking pretty good, so I'm quite confident they will reach these further tasks. But there are still a couple of areas that are yet to begin production and saying that they're in scheduled. So there's still a chance that a couple of features may slip, but personally I'm happy with the progress, and if these features do slip into 3.6 or beyond, it wouldn't be too much of a problem for me. Now, CIG said last week that we shouldn't expect to see a 3.7, 3.8 for this last Friday's roadmap, so hopefully this week. However, I wouldn't hold your breath. It could be another couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks yet. If you want to know exactly what has changed on the roadmap, however, do check out the link below to my weekly roadmap update video. So on Around the Verse this week, there was a new flight model control update. They used CitizenCon feedback to address the controls, specifically using the throttle controls for the HOTAS. Going forward with 3.5, the default for the throttle is if you have the throttle positioned at half throttle, that equals 0% thrust. If you push it forward all the way, this will achieve 100% forward thrust. If you put it all the way back, this will achieve 100% retro or reverse thrust. This, I think, works well if you have a specific throttle that has this indicator or a notch to recognize where the halfway point is. However, my throttle doesn't have this, so it'll be interesting to see how it feels for me and whether I will look for another option. They've also decided to keep the space brake and are making decoupled easier. So basically, by easier, they mean you've got to hold a specific key for decoupled rather than a toggle. This, I feel, is probably going to be more useful for dogfighting and smaller ships, but larger ships may want the option to toggle the decoupled mode, so we'll see how that goes. Again, I'll try it for myself, see if it works for me. Otherwise, I might look for a different method. Now, also on ATV, we've got to look at ArcCore and its moons. They've done some tests a while ago for the buildings, and to see how they will look over a landscape and make sure that they look interesting, but ultimately cover a large area. They also want it to blend well with other buildings. For the moons, ArcCore's moons, this was the first time that they managed to build a moon from start to finish using the same tools without needing to create anything else. Walla, it took about 4 weeks to create. They did repurpose a lot of assets, but give it a bit more of a fresh look. Walla is dotted with crystals and minerals, which will bring colour and unique materials to the moon. And Lyria, the other moon, is a pretty cold and unpleasant place, they say. Has a bit more variety in terms of landscape. It's got mountains, flat area, dark volcanic rocks and large frozen areas. One unique feature of Lyria is the cryo geysers, which show where the water had frozen.
That looks beautiful.
Through the terrain, which look very cool and very interesting. I would very much love to go and experience these places. I have done a separate video on the Moons and ArtCore update. If you want to check that out, the link's below as well. But do let me know your thoughts on that, especially about the flight controls. It'll be interesting to see how it really feels when we get it into our hands. Fingers crossed, it all works good. So also this week, we got a new lore post titled Brothers in Arms. To celebrate Australia Day, every backer has access to the Gladius Valiant, a great time to test out your dogfighting skills. For all subscribers, the latest jump point is available. For every backer who pledged before the $200 million mark gets this free challenge coin hanger flare. And finally, there are 2 contests going on right now. One is a screenshot contest. To enter, you've got to get your best Gladius Valiant formation flights. And the other contest is to create a Tumbril Cyclone commercial, so be sure to get your entries in. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share the video with all your friends. If you like...
Alright, we'll link his video. Alright, your video's all linked there. And we got one more from these guys.
Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. So coming with 3.5 are a few new weapons, both ship and FPS weapons. These bring new approaches and techniques to make the most out of them, so let's take a look at what they are and what we can expect from each weapon. Kicking off with FPS weaponry, we have the Kastak Arms Coda. Now we already have the Kana and the Scalpel. This is a cool new manufacturer we've seen quite recently. The Coda is a ballistic handgun. This is currently at 5 out of 26 on the roadmap. It's actually a .50 caliber handgun, so I would expect it to have quite a heavy punch, but likely have a limited ammo. Just to sort of form that balance. Think like the Desert Eagle. What I do love about this handgun is it looks like a revolver and it would suit a rough and ready character. Maybe a pirate or someone living on the frontier wearing a duster. I really love the aesthetic of Kastak Arms. They kind of feel to me like the Drake equivalent of weapons. Probably not super practical, but it definitely sends a message and looks pretty scary. The second FPS weapon we're getting is the Gemini S71. This is a ballistic assault rifle and features an integrated sight, which is pretty cool, but that may mean that we can't swap sights on it, which would obviously be a bit better. It's very sleek, it's a professional looking sidearm, and it says it's used by many security professionals. However, it also mentions that the aesthetic upgrade is not worth the cred, so it just sounds like you're getting a fancier looking weapon without really getting too much of a better weapon.
This is
personally, I love the look of it, but I feel it's a bit
semi-automatic Beretta with a curve put on it.
Weapon on paper, and I think it's also
that looks like an SMG with a curve put on it
that we will have, which is obviously going to be very handy, especially in the current builds with these.
They're like modeling the weapons
PvP
after fish.
Planet-side FPS battles that are going on.
It's like a sword
Having
fish.
a sight alone is quite useful, but I would also expect quite a hefty price tag, closer to the 10,000 UEC. And also, I expect we'll see this being used by a lot of the
This is the
AI security
Orca
forces, just because it does look like a professional weapon. Now, coming in 3.5 are also 2 new ship weapons. The revision weapon
I've never seen a
is
professional
the
weapon look like a fish before.
GT870 Tarantula. This is a size 3 ballistic cannon, which has actually been in
look
game
like
for
a
quite a while
spider.
now, but it's just purely bringing it up to the current standards of the other weapons. It says it uses the Galanton Tactical's spring slide drum ammunition type, which smoothly and accurately delivers a variety of medium caliber ballistic shells, moderate rate of fire, but trustworthy and durable. Like with all the other weapons, they're just bringing them up to the current standard. This one, I think, is on a few ships at the moment, and it's quite a decent weapon.
Wait a minute,
I think
these
it's
don't
scored
look
quite
like
highly
fish like
in
the other
Whitelist
ones.
Guide, but at least we're getting that one.
The current standard,
back to
they
the
look
new
like
standard,
fish.
and back in game.
These don't look
the
like
new weapon
fish.
we get is the Banu single Tachyon cannon, which is a size 3 ship weapon, and it uses Banu technology. They don't really go into what that
Oh, the Banyu. What is this? This is, I don't know. To me, it's a scepter. This is a scepter that you hit somebody in the nutsack with. Oh, what? This doesn't look like a gun.
means, but I think it comes attached to the Banu Defender. Now, this is the first Banu weapon
Oh, it's a ship
we will have in
weapon.
game, so it will be very interesting to see how it feels and what it can do. It's likely a single shot, but very effective in the right hands. I expect it to be quite powerful. I don't know if it's going to deliver a different type.
Is it a ship weapon? Wait a minute, it's a single shot.
Which is a size
What
3
the-
ship weapon, and it uses Banu technology. They don't really go into what that means.
Size 3 ship weapon.
Scores
Did you
quite
hear that?
highly in the Whiteley's guide, but at least we're getting that one back to the new standard and back in game.
Single
the new weapon
shot?
we
What
get
the hell
is
are
the
you
Banu
talking
single
about?
Tachyon cannon, which is a size 3 ship weapon, and it uses Banu technology. They don't really go into what that means, but I think it comes attached to the Banu Defender. Now, this is the first Banu weapon we will have in game, so it will be very interesting to see how it feels and what it can do. It's likely a single shot, but very effective in the right hands. I expect it to be quite powerful.
Bullshit.
I don't know
They're
if
not
it's going
gonna-
to deliver
nobody's- Nobody puts a single shot weapon on a ship. Why does he say it's single? Why would he say something like that, dude? He wants people to get pissed
type
off.
of shot, like an enemy.
Yeah, the Banyu Defender's got the most awesome single shot weapon in the whole universe. Okay, let's take 2 ships and we'll go kill them. Oh, seriously? That ain't right.
Energy or a ballistic. I highly doubt it's ballistic. Do let me know your thoughts on this. Maybe there's someone out there who knows what tachyon actually means, so do drop that in the comments. Now, I'm not going into DPM.
Tachyon. Oh. Tack. Is it that hard? Sense of touch. The sense of touching. Well, that's taction. How would you spell tachyon? This is taction. Eon. Anybody want, one of you people out there? Oh, there we go. Got help from my friends. We'll go in the old man mode here. Okay. Faster than light particles or quantum fields with imaginary mass. Something that exists in theory, it's imaginary. Tachyon particle. It's a hypothetical particle that always travels faster than light. But something that they don't know exists. So they're like, okay, man, it'd be really cool. And they were like sitting there doing whatever, They had this idea that they would just start making stuff up about this imaginary particle that goes faster than light. Yeah, dude, and we can write a bunch of science fiction based on the tachyon particle. Yeah, okay. So somebody got really high and they had an idea about some particle that coulda, shoulda, woulda existed. which is okay. You're into fictionary particles that coulda, shoulda, woulda existed, but we don't know if they're really there or not. Alright, so don't tell me I lost our beautiful video. Here it is.
Nor any other stats for these weapons. 2 DPM, nor any other stats for these weapons, as the game is very much in alpha and this will always change. However, coming in 3.5 is the new Projectile Manager, which implements this new physics system that will improve projectile functionality and realism in-game. Hopefully making FPS and flight combat a little more interesting, realistic and visceral, especially with the weapons. When 3.5 comes, if it does bring a good update, I will definitely look at the handheld weapons a little more, a little further in depth, and see what they feel like. But that is the weapons for 3.5. Let me know your favourite. I think mine has to be the Coda. It looks like a decent weapon.
I like this color. This teal color.
Like I say, not practical at all, but
I would like to paint my 600i or something, two-tone it with that.
Definitely going to be fun playing
That'd be
around
cool.
with that one. Anyway, big shout out to my
Black
patrons.
and
If you do want to
teal.
support my channel further, hit the link in the
600i.
description to check out my Patreon.
Okay, we already linked your videos, so we're gonna go on to the next one, which is Board Gamer.
Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Red Bull Gaming are doing a series looking at various games
Sandworm.
and game studios.
Beautiful.
One of these was titled
This is the trailer that they faked for us to give us high hopes of like a game that was coming. Yeah. Literally, if the game comes out the way they say it's going to come out, it's going to be like 10 years after this video was made.
titled Biggest Crowdfunding Campaign in Gaming History, Star Citizen Levels. I wanted to highlight a couple of bits from this video as concepts for animals were shown and are pretty cool. I also wanted to briefly talk about Reverse the Verse, which is back this Friday and is going to be a pretty big FAQ Q&A about 3.5 and some of its features. The main thing I want to talk about are a few seconds of animal concepts that were shown in that Red Bull video. Top right, you can see Xiphopods that were seen in the CitizenCon 2017 gameplay demo on Hurston. They are basically like rats, but fly and are originally from Lear 1, or at least that's where they were first discovered. That might sound familiar, Lear, because Lear 3 was shown on the Procedural Planets V2 demo, and that contained
Space
the mighty
rats.
sandworm. So most of the life we know about sort of like stems from the Lear system in lore. The words
You guys better
heat
keep those
sensitive,
off my
flying,
ship. I
slow
don't like
moving,
'em.
hummingbird, and fast attack are written here, so I would expect these things to be at least a little bit dangerous.
I
As the word
really
attack
don't
is
like
there.
it.
Back to that picture though,
It's
in the
ugly.
bottom right, we can see a flying pterodactyl type creature, which might be a variation or early version of the Tokyai, a Xi'an apex predator, but the Sand Tokyai.
Oh, that's cool. That's something that I would like for a pet. It's actually, it would. I like one of these with like a bigger head and a bigger mouth to do more damage. That would be cool.
Medium fighter was named after. On the bottom left is an animal that looks like a cross between a graboid from Tremors, if you can remember that film, and a rhino or dog variant. Faces below that look like a goat or bird thing. You can see the words no eyes,
Goat
large
bird.
crushing claws, size of a bison, and omnivore there. At the top left appears to be more evolutions of this creature, walking and standing, but the words elephant can be seen here, and lots of other words which I can't really decipher, unfortunately. The next picture contains, from top left to bottom right, a gorilla-type alien with tusks and a massive stance that's supposed to charge at its prey, according to what's written there. Then there is a head of a more lizardy, rocky, scaled creature with a large tusk and like tooth underbite It appears to have snake-like claws that are drawn next to it as well, in sort of like little stabby raptor claws, really. Below these appears to be a crocodile-type creature, but it's very bloated and it shares many of the same features as the animals above. Below this, on the left, is an even more crocodile-type creature with a bear trap attack. I expect these were envisioned to sort of like be in long.
This turns into a game where I'm gonna get dropped off on an island and have to kill these things to survive. I'm gonna like pull my hair out if this turns into some type of survival game and we're hunting for oxygen pens and yeah.
On grass or in swamps, partly submerged or something, and would have players accidentally step on them for a nasty surprise.
Oh my god. Chris Roberts starts playing Ark Survival and then he gets an epiphany and they erase everything and they change the game to fit the Ark Survival model. I can see it.
With its armor opening up to expose its face. Bottom right has another armored dinosaur type alien creature. Again, I suspect its face opens up for like a predator type maw, which again is likely to be a variant for the creatures shown above. The last pictures here are of a pig boar type animal with the words livestock grazing, eggs hang from under, asexual, large red gland on males' heads, large eye, nose covers, closed eyes, and fine hairs all written. Now, it's really cool to see a few animals that are in the works, or at least were in the work around CitizenCon time, because I suspect that's
kind of looks like a
around when this was
penis.
filmed. Obviously, they want some
Coming up
more
out of the
robust
ground.
FPS AI in before they actually get these animals in game, because they need to have pathfinding around planets. But we could certainly see some more simple creatures like the Xiphopods before that, I suppose, because well,
This is Chris
they
Roberts
can fly,
telling us
so
to
they don't
get
have to worry
fucked.
so much about pathfinding on the ground. You don't have to worry about the weird animations not working properly and
We're not
stuff
giving
getting
you a
stuck in
game.
places so much because they can just hover around places. I'll do a quick summary of the rest of the Red Bull video as well. It goes over the basic story and intention of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. They have to build a culture and
I
lore for
shouldn't have
each of the
said
animals
that.
and aliens in game. For Chris Roberts, Star Citizen is like Second Life in space rather than something that you can win or lose at. It's sort of like this sandbox universe where you can lose yourself there. There's no way a publisher would back a game like this originally, but the crowdfunding of Star Citizen has been massively successful and they are very happy they've done it this way. They get to engage the community and get feedback on the project and then iterate based on that feedback. The game has an unprecedented
guess there is no
amount
ladies
of
here at the
precision
moment,
and
so
scale.
I guess
They
it's
have 100 star
okay.
systems outlined that they want to do.
But
With
my
3 to
mom's
4
gonna
planets
watch it
each.
tomorrow.
Originally, they weren't going
I'm
to
gonna
have
get a
fully
phone
explorable
call.
planets. That's something that's
You
obviously
watch.
evolved and caused delays to the project. They're working out exactly what time
She's gonna
means
tell me
in
how
game and how
not
that's going to be
funny that
exposed to
was.
players. Will they use a local time or are they going to use a absolute UEE time? So whatever time it is, it's the same time across the universe. Obviously, planets effectively would have their own local time, but that's not what would be sort of like shared. And that's probably what they're going to go for, admittedly, although they didn't confirm that in the video. All their actors are scanned. They are currently playing with potentially doing individual hairs.
bought my
on their
mom an
characters.
iPad and she
I think they
watches
want to use some form of
everything.
spline tech to actually have each individual
Sometimes she
hair
comes
drawn.
in here with us.
This will be based on whether it's viable.
Thank God
or
I
not
can see her
performance-wise,
when she's
though.
here.
They see themselves accountable to backers and acknowledge that there's a thin
Keeps
layer
me
between the
from
game,
swearing.
devs, and community, which means that when things go wrong, they are very visibly talked about in the community and they're very obvious when anything happens. There was a little bit of behind the scenes footage from CitizenCon 2018, just had them getting ready for their presentation and setting up. Chris said he liked the fact the gameplay was live at these kind of events and some bits were basically rough around the edges because it's real and they don't want to look like a big publisher. That's what they're trying to avoid. They're an independent studio and they are there for the backers, and the people that have helped them make that project are the people that have funded the game. The game will be reactive and evolve. They expect players to do lots of unexpected things. Please check out that full video in the description and links below if you so wish. It was actually pretty cool and very well filmed. Reverse the Verse is back this Friday with Todd Pappy, Star Citizen's live game director. He will be answering questions about the current state of the game and work on 3.5 Alpha and anything else that's probably upvoted in the thread there. So make sure to check out the Spectrum thread and add or upvote any questions that you like the look of. I'll link that down below. Some of the current most upvoted questions are: can we have more info on those automated gimbal mounts mentioned in the roadmap? Will you be able to explore all of ArcCorp by ship, or will it be mostly restricted by the fly zone except for Area 18? What can we expect in regards to co-op mission support? I'd like to know more details about the group system improvements v4. What is the plan to increasing player count in the PU? 50 players distributed across millions of kilometers is making the game feel a bit empty. More than 90% of Lorville remains unexplorable on foot. Do you plan to add any more locations? Player properties, parks, museums, anything? What is the status on the item insurance, weapons and components? Expect a lot of them and more questions to be answered on the RTV live stream this Friday, 4 PM UTC on twitch.tv/StarCitizen, but I'll also get a summary up of all the informations there once I can. Also, by popular request, I've put a subscribe star up as just another way that people can support the channel. I know some people are very...
Okay. We get it. This is the Dark Lord speaking. Go to this link. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment so you get into the contest. But you will.
All right, next up we got the lore. Yes, we got lore with Paul. Astropub. We got the lore, baby. My favorite part of the show.
Hello and welcome to another Galactic Historian Short. My name is Paul Shelley, and this is a shorter take on lore of sci-fi and space content. This is a special episode covering the history behind Star Citizen's filthiest race in the verse, the Daymar Rally. This is mostly a fan-made history, so it's not to be considered pure canon, but the community event is awesome and I wanted to give it the proper Galactic Historian treatment. The story begins before 2903 in the Stanton system. The UEE had just discovered a new jump point to the previously unknown system, and to their surprise, found out that they weren't the first people there. Smugglers, dissidents, and pirates had made the system their home, alongside thousands of other squatters looking to carve out the rich planets and moons for themselves. Around Crusader, a gas giant and the second planet in the system, there was a small dusty moon, now known as Daymar. This moon remained relatively untouched as the UEE reclaimed the system from the squatters and the pirates, seeking to make the highly valuable system UEE territory. It wasn't until 2906 when the first permanent settlement was established by Darnell AJ. As the years went by, the moon gained more and more of a bad reputation. In 2912, advocacy agent Krista Tamden was ambushed and killed while chasing a suspect across the plains that now bear her name. The Kovalek shipping hub in orbit, now controlled by Crusader Industries, encountered an accident due to a complication with a smuggler working inside the station. Then there were rumors of the eccentric artist, Norman Eager, who carved art installations on the surface so vast they could be seen from orbit. Some say it was just him showing off his artistic side. Others say they were built to help guide smugglers from orbit, who used them as landmarks to find stolen Shubin mining equipment that had been dumped in the desert. The first version of this rally was less of a race and more of a sightseeing event. A group called the Daymar 7 ran the first official route in 2917, more to see the art installations that were being eroded by the wind and time than to race. They ended up at Wolf Point because of its reputation as a place where a historic prank had taken place rather than any official endpoint. This was all recorded by the participants, and images of this journey began to spread across the system and eventually the Empire. As a result, more and more people began to become interested in this annual event, which risked encounters with pirates and smugglers, still testing their luck against Shubin's security teams, but lacked the competitive edge of the modern races. The first real competition for the rally was in 2922, when Nils Lawrence, a member of the original Seven, met with other amateur racers to put together a 4-man promo event, with the winners earning the trophy and the right to name it for future generations. Famously, the first winner, Jenny McKay, finished the grueling 267-kilometer race, covered in grime, and when given the cup, she spit in it and remarked, "I don't care what you call the thing, just get me out of here." It was this quote and other tales of the 29-22 run that solidified the race as one of the hardest in known space. Between the rocks, dust, grime, raiders, and other unknown dangers, it became infamous. The terrible reputation actually worked for the benefit of the race, as others soon sought to try the filthiest race in the verse, with over 11 teams signing up for the next year's race. Ever since, the cup has remained nameless, but people still return yearly to test their machines against the moon. McKay's mechanic, Danny Roth, went on to win 3 out of the first 5 races. McKay herself returned to the race in 29-29, famously calling it Amateur Hour. However, she still lost to a mysterious stranger who died as he finished the race. This made even more headlines around the empire. As more and more teams competed, professional race groups tossed their hats into the ring, and various divisions formed to differentiate between rovers, buggies, and bikes. These teams backstabbed one another, and corruption was rampant. Finally, in 29-39, there was the famous race with no winner, and the internal rot of the race caused it to finally collapse in on itself shortly after, seemingly ending the race for good. However, in 29-49, a group of local enthusiasts are seeking to revive the dirty race with new rules, racing classes, and more. They sponsored this Galactic Historian look, and I personally would like to invite you to see if you have the guts, skill, and stamina to run the filthiest race in the verse yourself, and head to DaymarRally.com to read the rules, see the route, and sign up for yourself. I hope you enjoyed this brief look into the history of the Daymar Rally. If you like this, please subscribe to our channel, the Astropub, for more lore videos, and please watch the official trailer for the Daymar Rally on this channel right down below. Like I say every time, hope to see you again soon, but if I don't, hope to see you someday in the black.
All right. So, got
hear and witness that I do solemnly pledge.
Back to so I can. He does the captain's table every Saturday too, and he posts them on his YouTube. Then we got the Nuba Fire.
Hello YouTubers, this is the Nuba Fire. Today is going to be a very quick video, and the topic is designed to give you guys a heads up about the new flight model. On ATV last week, we were shown how the throttle is going to work. For those of you that use dual sticks with thrusters front and back bound to Y, no change really. Pushing increasingly forward or backwards will change the rate of acceleration. What will change is the need to apply a reversing force to slow down or stop. We do have confirmation that brake is a thing, which is great. You can simply slow down and then just hold brake to automatically zero out your velocity. This is where it gets more important. Hands-on stick and throttle pilots or hands-on stick and throttle pilots are going to do well to find a throttle that has a 50% or middle neutral bump. This middle detent is going to help you greatly. The Warthog throttle does have a step at 10% and a step at 80%. Those are meant for engine shutdown and afterburner on a plane. You could theoretically use the force to find the middle or zero out, but that's going to get old pretty quick. There are many out there that let you set your own, but for today, for demonstration, I'm going to use what I have available. I've removed the back of my Virpil MT50 throttle to demonstrate, but that's not required. You're going to see 4 collars, 2 per throttle. If you need maximum precision because you're OCD, you can use the software to find numerical middle. For this Virpil, all you need to do is release a ring, rotate the collar until the click is engaged, and then tighten. I wanted a more pronounced bump, so I added a second one. Now I'm ready for the new flight model. I have a 0-50% bump and a full forward and full rear quadrant to apply thrust. Please sound off in the comments about other throttle units that can be configured like this. I'm going to compile a list and publish that list in the future. 3.5 is super important for Star Citizen, and hopefully it's finally time for the dogfighters to dust off their gear and get ready to get good. Remember, this isn't only about fighters. Cargo and industrial ships are also going to get a big shakeup. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Fly safe, and I'll...
Being a repair guy at Ford Motor Company, that should not be like that. Where's it at? Let me find it. Bothers me. Yeah, here. These wires right here, if they're gonna come in contact with that and rub, like, they would never okay that at Ford Motor Company and our machine. And what's gonna happen is eventually it's gonna wear down the rubber there. So to make this right, I don't even know why it's going underneath here. It looks like it can just go up and over it with some type of retainer to hold the wires up from coming down on it, or just the bend would keep it. That just bothers me. Another way to get around it would be to put steel mesh around it, and the steel mesh would not wear through, and then it would never get to the rubber. You could put like steel mesh around these wires here. I want to buy that throttle so bad too, but I can't deal with that. See how these don't hit nothing? This is like touching. Bothers you too? It bothered me. It was like, I don't know, like nails on a chalkboard when I saw the wires moving when he moved the thing.
Super important for Star Citizen, and hopefully it's finally time for the dogfighters to dust off their gear and full rear quadrant to apply thrust. Please sound off in the comments about other throttle units that can be configured like this.
Yeah, it's so touching.
I'm going to compile a list and publish that list in the future.
A lot.
3.5 is super important for Star Citizen, and hopefully it's finally time for the dogfighters to dust off their gear and get ready to get good. Remember, this isn't only about fighters. Cargo and industrial ships are also going to get a big shakeup. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.
All right. Now we got the
hello,
the giveaway.
YouTubers. This is the new
The giveaway that he did.
Hello, YouTubers. This is the Noobifier.
Oh, there we are. Find you. There you go.
Hello,
Reclaimer.
YouTubers. This is the Noobifier, and welcome to the results of the monthly Patreon giveaway. I wanted to thank the Patreon backers for supporting the channel's Patreon fund. 100% of their donations come back to you in the form of these giveaways. It serves to widen the audience, especially times like this, and helps me spread the word about Star Citizen. So now in the channel's regular no bullshit style, here's your winner. Out of 2,600 entries, Citizen Jeffrey Beach, congratulations, you're the winner of an LTI Aegis Reclaimer. A monstrous ship with a dirty interior and a creepy movie feel to it. I've contacted you, and all you need to do is answer me so I can get you this prize. Thank you to everyone who entered, and thanks to the backers who support this contest. Next month, because of the generosity of the patron backers, I'm going to be giving away an LTI 600i Touring, the ultimate way to see the universe in style. Congratulations to the winner. Welcome to the new subscribers. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.
Nice. All right, all right. I feel it. I feel it. I do feel it. Okay. So what we gonna do? We're gonna change over to MechWarrior Online and blow things up. What we're gonna do. Here's a link to Noob's chat there. Get all of his information and stuff. Enter the 600i contest. Okay, so we need to open up our world here and change our channel. Gonna be doing MechWarrior Online, a bunch of hero mechs. Refitting my hero mechs for the yeah, that'll work. I should probably put MechWarrior Online. Out of room. Almost there. There we go. Should be updated. I will fire up the game. I'll try to catch it so it doesn't blow your ears. I did. Yay, me. All right.